Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Karen. If you've been following my journey, you guys know I recently graduated nursing school as a single mom, and now I am on my journey as a nurse. But of course, I have to take my boards, so I don't want to jump the gun. I will definitely keep you guys abreast. But if you would like to follow my journey with that, definitely hit that subscribe button. And yeah, let's get into the whole point of this video. All right, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and just start from the very beginning when I considered nursing school, or rather what led me into nursing school. So around 2013, this is when I'm transitioning out of judgment enforcement. I worked for a law firm, and then I worked for a major firm, financial firm, and did compliance. But then I kind of got tired of being in that corporate setting, and I went into real estate. And then one of my best friends actually got into LPN school. She was telling me, like, listen, do school with me. I'll be there every step of the way. Like, let's do this together. And I was like, I don't know if I could do healthcare. Like, I don't know if that's my thing. I don't like to just do something because somebody else is doing it. To me, I'm like, healthcare is a whole nother ball game. And I'm like, listen, these are people's lives in your hands. Like, you're responsible for all of this. I'm like, I don't know if I want to take all that on. My best friend ends up graduating that year, and I'm like, wow, that happened so fast. Like, now you're a nurse. And she's like, I told you. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should do it. As we're sitting down, we're budgeting, and I'm like, I don't even have a car. Like, how I'm gonna get to clinicals and all this. So I'm thinking, okay, I gotta save up extra money. Now I'm considering it, but then another opportunity arises for me to go into property management. So while I'm thinking about school and I'm weighing my options between RN and LPN, this opportunity arises and the salary is very attractive, and I'm just like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna just put off school. In the meantime, I could save and I could just build my experience in property management. This is something, I don't want to turn down. Come 2015, I'm prepared, I'm ready. I'm like, okay, let's do this LPN program. The week that I'm about to take my T's, I found out that I'm pregnant. So I'm like, great, now I have to put this on hold. I should have thought about that before I opened my legs, but it's neither here or there. Now I have other plans. At the same time, my best friend is telling me, like, listen, you should just do the program while you're pregnant. There's a girl that was in my class that was pregnant and she did it. You could do it. I was like, no, I don't think I could do it. Like, I don't want that type of stress. I passed on the opportunity to do LPN school that year. I gave birth in November of 2015. Now, mind you, in between, I was working. I worked my entire pregnancy. So, yeah, I think I could have did nursing school. But at the same time, I was thinking, I don't know if I wanted that type of stress. I just had a lot of issues with his father at the time. We were living together. Things kind of happened kind of fast. And yeah, I was dealing with a lot of stress with that, which I will share probably in a story time in a whole nother video. After I finally have Noah, he has a whole bunch of complications. He's in the NICU for about 4 months. But 2016 was a rough year. When Noah came home, it was just so hard. I was doing everything by myself. I didn't have any type of help. Even with this man present, laying next to me, just not feeling motivated about anything, not working, not even helping me through the night, not making bottles, not doing anything. And I'm the breadwinner. I'm paying the bills. I'm doing the running and back and forth, still without a car, to doctor's appointments and all that. I'm taking Uber. Mind you, I still work in the city, so I just felt like there was no point of me having a car. So 2017, I'm thinking, you know what, this man is not gonna help me. Like, I gotta do something about this. I gotta split. So I make the decision. I finally move, and now I am on my own. I am single. I'm still working, but now Noah actually starts school around this time. So on top of the doctor's appointments and his already demanding schedule, I have to compromise my hours because he's in school for 4 hours. And even though he qualified for respite, I just didn't feel comfortable with just anybody being there for my son. He has a rare congenital disorder called agenesis of the corpus callosum. I kind of talked about it briefly in my very first video, but I didn't go into details. But he suffered from bradycardia, has epilepsy, so he gets seizures, and he also has hypotonia, which is low muscle tone. So he was in school getting his therapies, his OT, his PT, his speech, and he was also getting that stuff at home. So who had to be home? I did. So now I had to compromise and leave my job temporarily. So after I leave my job, it really hits me that, okay, I don't have any type of income. I have a savings, but I don't think I'm going to get through this the next year. So I finally have a social worker come in and we go over our options, and Noah's actually able to qualify for aid. So I get assistance that year, and this actually helps out, even though it's not a lot, it's an income. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I need to take advantage. I need to go back to school. Like, this is it. Like, this is a sign, because I'm already stressed out. I'm depressed. I'm at home. I'm thinking, like, I'm not doing anything with my life. I'm not used to this. I'm used to being productive, and I'm used to getting up for work every day. Like, now I'm not doing anything. I need to do something. Now I just wing it and I apply to nursing school. And now I'm like, okay, I need to figure out my support system. Like, how am I going to go to school and have somebody there for my son? So I reach out to my mom and I'm like, listen, I'm about to make this transition. I got accepted. And she's like, it's a clear cut no. Now, me and my mom don't have the greatest relationship. It's not like we have a mother and daughter type of bond. And at the same time, this was kind of just out of nowhere. So it was just a no. So I'm just like, okay, like, I don't think I could do this. So I speak to my grandmother one day because I'm just bawling in tears and I just feel really discouraged. And she's like, listen, I will help you. And I'm like, how are you going to help me? You live in a whole nother state. So she's like, just get into nursing school and then we'll talk. So I let my grandmother know, like, look, I just got accepted. Like, what can you do? Can you get up here? And she's like, unfortunately, I can't. So I'm like, great. Now the opportunity of me starting nursing school, like, that's not going to happen. So fast forward, and this is a no-brainer. I'm thinking about LPN school. So there's an opportunity to get into the April class. Come April, I'm not able to make that class because they already filled up the seats. So I'm like, great, what am I going to do now? My grandmother's here, and I'm like, I'm sorry that you came up. I didn't start school yet. I'm sorry. Like, what can I do? So she's like, all right, well, can you get in for the next class? I'm like, true. The next class starts for August. So I come back to the school and I'm like, okay, what's the deal with August? So they're like, oh, we could set you for this. I passed my TEAS exam. Now I'm waiting to get into school. So in between this time, I actually take advantage. I go back to work full time. I am hustling. Like, I am saving literally every single penny because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get through the program. I don't know if FAFSA approved me or whatever. So I finally sit down with a financial advisor from the school. We go over everything. I'm able to get a full grant. Now I'm gonna keep it so transparent with you guys. As I'm sitting down with the financial advisor, we're going over everything and I'm like, wow, it's kind of crazy that I was able to get qualified for full grant, basically the max that they can offer me. But because of my situation, me being a single mom and taking that hit in 2017, I was able to get the maximum benefit. But let's also add that in the past, I wasn't able to qualify for FAFSA or any type of aid because at the time that I was under my mom's roof, she was making too much money. I wasn't able to qualify. And then when I was finally on my own, I kind of made too much. I was paying out of pocket, even though I did get tuition reimbursement. So I actually have 2 other degrees that were paid for. I definitely had loans in the past, but everything was taken care of. Now, I'm not going to say that I didn't try to do everything that I could to try to prepare myself financially, because I did, but I just had to keep it real with myself. Like, my son has issues. I need the assistance. I have absolutely no help. There's no way to work around his schedule. So I had to do what I had to do. I had to take a cut. And I mean, in situations like that, you really don't have a choice. And when I'm thinking about it, LPN school, like, listen, this is about a year. Once I'm done, I'll go straight back to work. And I'm not going to be on this forever. This is a temporary sacrifice. And I just got to humble myself. It is what it is. So as I was saying, prior to me starting nursing school, I was just picking up hours. I was just doing everything that I could to make some type of extra money. I actually had to move out of my place. I had to move in with family. And that's a whole situation of its own. You guys know, living in New York City, the cost is just ridiculous. I'm so used to being on my own. But you know what? Again, this is temporary. This is a sacrifice that I have to make for me and my son, just to make sure that we have some type of roof over our head while I'm in school. So now, before I make the transition into school full time, I let my boss know, like, listen, I'm about to start nursing school. They kind of already knew what I was doing, but I was like, I want to keep some type of rapport with you guys, but my schedule won't allow me to work Monday through Friday. And the way that hours were set up, I had to work from 9 to 5. Now I'm in school from 9 to 3. There's no way that I can do this. So my boss is like, listen, if you want to work Saturdays, you can work Saturdays. I'm like, cool. Now, let me just add before I continue, this may not be feasible for everyone working 1 day a week. It worked for me because, of course, I couldn't work during the week. My hours just did not work with my school schedule. And honestly, I wasn't trying to find work outside of that because already I'm a single mom. I have a lot on my plate. I have a son who has special needs, and school was just really overwhelming. But I would suggest to you guys that if you are trying to do some type of work while you're in nursing school, try and find something that isn't physically and mentally taxing. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna need time to yourself to study and just get yourself together, give yourself a break. And luckily on Saturdays, while nobody's in the office, it's just me, I was able to get my work done, and at the same time I was able to study. And my boss honestly didn't mind as long as my work was done and submitted and everything was taken care of and I had downtime, I was studying. So that's how I got through nursing school with that. Also, I want to suggest to you guys, look into babysitting services, or if you have friends that have kids, you know, as a mom, we do need our nights out. We do need time away from our kids sometimes to just, you know, mentally get right. Even if it's for a few hours, you know, that's a couple dollars in your pocket. So definitely reach out. And if you have kids, definitely look into that as well, because you could do trade-offs. If you have somebody in your circle who has kids, you know, you can drop off the kids to them, they could drop off the kids to you, and you can get studying done in between. So that's what I would do on the side. So now jumping to how I manage my time as a single mom and a student in nursing school. Now, before I continue, I just want to stress to you guys, it is so important to have a support system while you're in nursing school, because it is just so overwhelming. You're going to find yourself burning out before you know it, especially as a parent. I mean, without my grandmother, I don't know how I would have got through this program. She really is just like everything to me, and I owe her everything. I owe her my life, just for being there and just making this sacrifice, coming up from a whole nother state to be here for me. But yeah, like I was saying, I just feel very blessed, and I'm grateful that I had my grandmother at her age and 2 knee replacements just be here for me, be that support system that I needed. And you know, she wasn't obligated to do that. Right, so now I'm gonna break down how I orchestrated my days throughout nursing school, and I'm gonna start off the week with Sunday. So Sunday would be my day of like self-care, being by myself, because fortunately, Noah has other grandparents, but they weren't available until the weekends. So the grandmother would actually watch Noah from a Friday or a Saturday through Sunday, and I would get Noah like in the afternoon. But I would take advantage that day and just try and focus on me, my health, either go to the gym, work out at home, go grocery shopping, and then try and get some studying in before I picked him up. And then later that night, I would just get my scrubs together, iron my scrubs for the week, iron his clothes for the week, get my clinical bag together because I would have clinical on Mondays, and I will also get his book bag together for school for the week. So now jumping to Mondays, which would be my clinical days, my grandmother would be at my house around like 5:30, 5:40ish. I'm actually leaving around that time because depending on the facility, it would take me about an hour to get there. And typically I would have to be on the floor by at least like 6:40, 6:50. Even though we had to be at clinical by 7 o'clock, being on time, technically you're late. Now jumping to Tuesdays, these were my lecture days. I actually had a later start time, so I would have Noah to myself in the morning. My grandmother would actually come out later in the afternoon. I would get him ready, get him fed, get him on the bus, and then from there I would go to school because I wouldn't have to be to school till about 8:50, and his bus would get to my house around like 8 o'clock, 8:07, around that time. So he would catch the bus, and then I would be on my way. Now in the afternoon, she'll be home to get him off the bus. I'd be getting home probably like 30 minutes after. I was in school from 8:50 to 3 o'clock most of the time. And I also want to stress on these days, I would try and make time to study with my classmate. So we would have study session groups, and if we couldn't do that, then I would try and study by myself. So sometimes I would stay after school and I would let my grandmother know, listen, I'm staying after school just for a few hours, like, are you cool with it? And sometimes I would just either go to Starbucks or the library and just, you know, study there, because honestly I could not study at home. I cannot focus when I'm at home. I know I would film myself being at my desk and getting work done, and yeah, it's true, I would be doing that at home, but most of the time I would try and study outside of the house. Or at least if I'm able to study away from home, I can get all my study material done, and then I come home and I just have a clear mind, and all I have to do is worry about Noah. So yeah, as long as my grandmother knew where I was at, that I was at school, she knew what time I was leaving, and I just kept open communication with her, she was perfectly fine with that. And I want to say how I spent my clinical days pretty much was the same throughout nursing school and lecture days as well. Now, jumping to Fridays after I was done with school, I would kind of make that like my social day, hanging out with friends, my boyfriend at the time, just making time for myself and just getting out of that zone of being in school. Not getting too crazy with it because, again, I had to stick to a budget. But just making time for yourself is important as well. You need that because you can just be so drained, and not everything is nursing, nursing, nursing. Like, you have to give yourself a break. And of course, if you do need to get some studying done, then you make sure that your priorities are straight. Tend to that first, not go out partying and then you have an exam that you need to study for and you're cramming the last minute. Just make sure that you prioritize, and again, get yourself a planner. And jumping to Saturdays, as I stated, these were my work days. And whenever I had downtime, I would just utilize that time to study, review whatever material I need to review for the week ahead. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Saturdays, though, I would also try and meal prep. But most of the time, I would kind of just save that for Sundays. So Saturdays, I would just kind of kick it and just go through my review book, my textbook, and just focus on school. So Saturdays I kind of say would be my study days, but that would be. But yeah, guys, it's a wrap for this video. That's pretty much all I can talk about right now because I've recorded about 20 times and I probably have like 150 takes, and I feel like this video is just going to be a hot mess anyway. But if there's something that I missed, you want clarity on, or if you have a question, definitely leave a comment below. And I just want to share with you guys, if there is anybody out there that is feeling discouraged, you don't know where to begin, you don't know if you'll be able to get through nursing school, you're worried about the financial burden, please let me tell you, where there is a will, there is a way. I'm going to just tell you from my own. I tried to prepare myself, but life happened and took a turn and things just opened up. You have to do your research. You have to reach out to people. Do not be afraid to reach out to family, to friends, to anybody that is distant. You never know. And I'm not going to say that my situation will work for everybody because not everybody has a family member that is willing to move out of state for them. But let me just tell you, if you come to somebody with a plan, that you sound serious, that you are being proactive, and they are seeing that you are about it, do that. You never know if somebody is willing to help you until you ask. So make sure that you are in that transition, that you are doing what you need to do, so that way you can buckle down and get through this.